Another important thing I wanted to mention today is that, as of now, mid-April, there is still no green light between Barcelona and Manchester United on the Marcus Rashford situation. What's the situation with Rashford? Barcelona are in agreement with Marcus Rashford and his camp over contract terms. So the player will be happy to stay, Barcelona will be happy to continue with Rashford, Flick is happy with his performances. But then there is the club to club. And club to club means that they have to trigger the 30 million euros by option clause.
Welcome back to the channel, and if you're a Manchester United fan, buckle up because today's transfer news is an absolute roller coaster. Let's get straight into it. According to transfer expert Fabrizio Romano, the deal to keep Marcus Rashford at the new camp on a permanent basis is completely stalling, and time is running out. Here's the situation. Rashford himself is happy to stay. Barcelona are happy to keep him. Manager Hansi Flick is happy with his performances. So far, so good. But here's where it falls apart. Club to club. Manchester United are demanding Barcelona trigger the €30 million buy option. Simple as that. Pay up or Rashford comes back to Old Trafford, and United have made it crystal clear they are not budging. Barcelona, on the other hand, want to get creative. They're pushing for a restructured deal, maybe another loan, maybe a different obligation to buy. But United, they're slamming the door shut on that idea. €30 million. That's the price. Take it or leave it. So right now, there is no agreement at club level. Rashford wants Barca. Barca want Rashford. But United hold all the cards and they are not giving him away cheap. Watch this space, because this one could go right to the wire. United are already planning for life without the academy graduate, and they are going big. Nico Williams, the Electric Athletic Club winger, is on United's radar, and here's the massive part. Williams has already told Athletic Club he wants to leave this summer. That is huge. United are firmly in the conversation, but that's not all. Rafael Leão from AC Milan is also being targeted, and according to reports from Gazzetta dello Sport, United are actually ahead of Barcelona in the race for the Portuguese winger, with hopes of landing him for under £44 million. That would be an absolute statement signing. Casemiro will leave Manchester United at the end of the season when his contract expires. The Brazilian midfielder, who was once considered one of the best in the world, sees his time at Old Trafford come to an end. Goalkeeper Altay Bayındır could also follow him out of the exit door. Midfield is going to be a major priority this summer, and United are already doing their homework. Names like Adam Wharton, Carlos Baleba, Elliot Anderson, and even Bruno Guimarães have all been mentioned as targets. There is serious rebuilding work ahead. Barcelona have filed an official complaint to UEFA after Manchester United loanee Marcus Rashford and his Barca teammates publicly slammed the referee during their Champions League quarter-final against Atletico Madrid. Rashford was furious after referee Istvan Kovac appeared to deny Barcelona a clear penalty and a potential red card against Atletico's Marc Pubil. The complaint has now gone all the way to UEFA. Controversial stuff. United crashed to a 2-1 defeat against relegation-threatened Leeds on Monday, a result that seriously dents their hopes of Champions League qualification. To make matters worse, Lisandro Martinez was sent off for pulling Dominic Calvert-Lewin's hair. Yes, you heard that correctly. United are expected to appeal. Former Arsenal man Paul Merson has waded in, calling on Carrick to drop Benjamin Sesko for Saturday's clash at Stamford Bridge against Chelsea, and instead use the £64 million striker as an impact substitute off the bench. Kobbie Mainoo also missed the Leeds game through injury, and United fans will be desperate for him to return in London. Carrick will face the press today for his pre-match press conference, where we'll get the full team news and injury update. We'll bring you everything as it drops. Manchester United are sitting comfortably in third place with 55 points from 32 games as of April 16th, 2026. Michael Carrick has completely transformed this squad over the course of the season, and even with the recent 2-1 slip-up against Leeds, the team look a different beast. That defeat feels like a minor blip for a club that have finally have their competitiveness back, effectively locking down a spot in the Champions League for next year. Fans are now heading into the summer window with huge expectations as the board looks to bring in elite talent to keep this momentum going. The transfer rumour mill is in overdrive following reports that Nico Williams has set his sights on a move to Old Trafford. Sources like Football Transfers and Fichajes claim United are ready to shell out between €80 million and €90 million to sign the Spanish winger. Williams has picked up 4 goals and 2 assists in 21 La Liga games for Athletic Bilbao this term, but his raw numbers don't tell the whole story. His deeper stats are what really stand out. He's averaging nearly 2 key passes a game and holds an expected assists XA of 0.23 per 90 minutes. He's also hitting a 77.4% pass completion rate while seeing plenty of the ball, proving he's a genuine creative force on the flank. These numbers put Williams in the top 14% of La Liga playmakers, making him the ideal candidate to replace outgoing names like Marcus Rashford and Jadon Sancho. Going after Nico Williams is a massive statement for a club that's been crying out for a specialist on the left wing. He brings directness, dribbling skills and top-tier chance creation that United often lacks when their attacks go stale. While 4 goals might seem a bit low for a €90 million price tag, his non-penalty expected goals, NPXG, of 0.26 per 90 show he's getting into the right areas. United needs someone who can stretch the play and feed strikers like Benjamin Sesko, and Williams fits that profile. Spending that kind of money on a player whose form has been a little up and down is always a gamble, but his age and international pedigree give him massive potential. If the club want to hunt down Arsenal and Manchester City for the title next season, they need this kind of explosive threat in the starting 11 elsewhere. Manchester United are notably short on defensive options for this weekend's Premier League trip to Chelsea. Michael Carrick's side head to Stamford Bridge on Saturday night for an important late-season clash between top-6 rivals still without Harry Maguire, who has received an additional 1-match suspension from the Football Association, FA. The England centre-back was sent off during the 2-2 draw at Bournemouth last month after giving away a second-half penalty, subsequently missing Monday night's shock 2-1 home defeat by rivals Leeds. Maguire will remain unavailable against Chelsea, having been hit with an extra 1-game ban for what he said to the 4th official following his dismissal at the Vitality Stadium, which led to an FA charge of improper conduct. To compound United's worsening defensive headache, Lisandro Martinez was also red-carded on his return from a calf injury against Leeds for pulling the hair of striker Dominic Calvert-Lewin, a decision an angry Carrick described as one of the worst I've seen. Martinez will serve a 3-match ban and miss games against Chelsea, Brentford and Liverpool, with United having failed with their appeal against the dismissal. With Maguire and Martinez both banned and it remaining unclear if Matthijs de Ligt will play again this season due to a lingering back injury that has kept him out since November, Carrick looks likely to turn to teenager Aidan Heaven to start alongside Lenny Yoro in central defence against Chelsea. Diogo Dalot should be reinstalled at right-back, having only come off the bench against Leeds following illness as Noussair Mazraoui returned, with Luke Shaw at left-back and Senna Lamens in goal. Kobbie Mainoo missed the Leeds defeat with an issue that Carrick insisted was not serious, with Manuel Ugarte stepping into midfield alongside Casemiro before then dropping back into defence following Martinez's red. Kobbie is doing little bits, he's working toward it, he's doing bits, so there's a decision to be made, Carrick said of Mainoo's availability on Friday. Amad Diallo, Bruno Fernandes and Matheus Cunha should all start again in attack, with Brian Mbeumo potentially replacing Benjamin Sesko up front. Patrick Dorgu is not yet ready to return from a hamstring injury. Patrick won't be available, Carrick said. He's doing well, rehabbing well, and he's kind of on track, but he's not with us in terms of training. More over. Andoni Iraola announced his departure from Bournemouth at the end of the season this week, and the news immediately sent shockwaves through the Premier League managerial market, because Iraola is not just a good manager who is leaving a club. He is one of the most admired tactical minds in English football, a coach who has transformed Bournemouth from a newly promoted side with modest resources into one of the most consistently impressive and most tactically sophisticated teams in the division, and whose work on the South Coast has attracted genuine admiration from some of the biggest clubs in European football. Fabrizio Romano confirmed this week that Iraola would be open to taking the Manchester United job, describing the Spanish coach as someone who made the decision to leave Bournemouth several weeks ago and who would prefer to stay in the Premier League specifically. Romano was careful to note that he does not know of any talks between Iraola and United at this point, and crucially emphasised that United remain positive about Michael Carrick staying, which continues to be the direction all the clearest signals are pointing. But the public confirmation of Iraola's openness to the role adds a name to the conversation that was not there a week ago. And for any club conducting an internal process about permanent managerial appointments,
Martinez was sent
the
off on his
availability of a
return from
manager of
injury.
Iraola's
His
quality
first
and
appearance
profile
since February
at exactly
after
this
the calf
moment
problem
is the
that
kind
kept
of
him out of
development
5
that demands
consecutive
attention.
matches.
Regardless
He
of how
lasted just
positive the
55
current
minutes of his
situation
comeback
with the
before
interim
being
manager
dismissed in
appears.
circumstances that
Julian
left him
Nagelsmann
perplexed
and
and
Oliver
confused,
Glasner
as
have also
Neville
been
himself
self-described
described,
because the
with
player
Glasner
was
confirming
genuinely
his
shocked
departure
that his
from
actions
Crystal
had been
Palace at the end of the
identified, while
season,
Calvert-Lewin
and thus becoming
simultaneously
available
had not.
at
Exactly the time
And now
United
Martinez
will
will
serve a
make their
3-match
decision.
ban that rules
The
him out
presence
of
of
the three
multiple
most important
high-quality
games
available
remaining
managers
in
on the
United's
market this
entire
summer
season.
is
Simultaneously
Chelsea
the most
away,
compelling case for
Brentford at
Carrick's
home,
appointment and the
Liverpool
most
at
significant
home.
threat to it.
Three
Because
fixtures that will
INEOS will need
determine
to
whether
make their
Manchester
decision
United
with the full
secure
knowledge of
Champions
what
League football next
alternatives
season,
exist,
or
and
fall
whether any of those
agonisingly short
alternatives
at the
represents
final
a genuinely superior
Three
long-term
fixtures
option.
where the defensive
But the
quality
numbers
and
continue
the
to speak
defensive
loudly
leadership
and
that
clearly
Martinez
in Carrick's
carries
favour.
would have been
His record
absolutely
in charge
essential
is
for a backline
extraordinary by
already
any
missing
objective
Matthijs
measure,
de Ligt,
and the fact that he
indefinitely,
took over a club
and
in
managing a
complete
squad
crisis
stretched
stretched
thin by the
place
demands of a
and has
demanding
transformed
final
into a
run-in.
genuine Champions
The game
League
itself
contender
deserves
with the
honest
best temporary
assessment
manager
beyond the
record
red
in
card
recent
controversy.
Premier League history.
Leeds
Makes the
arrived at
argument
Old
for
Trafford
continuity
and produced
exactly the kind of
powerful.
organised,
The Champions
physical
League
and
qualification
determined
itself
performance
is the
that
clearest
Daniel
signal
Farke's
of all
team is
because the
capable of
additional
on the
revenue,
right
the
day.
recruitment attraction,
Noah
and the
Okafor's
prestige
double
of
before
European
half-time was
football
genuinely
would all
well
be products of
taken
the work
and left
Carrick has
United
done,
with an enormous
rather than the
mountain
work
to
of
climb.
whoever replaces
A mountain
him,
that became
making
an
it
almost
almost
vertical cliff face
counterintuitive
when
to make a
Martinez
change
received
at the
his precise
precise
moment
moment
when
just
the
11
project
minutes
is delivering
into the
its
second
most
half.
tangible results.
Casemiro headed in
transfer
from
market
Bruno
stories
Fernandes's
emerging around
17th
United
assist
this
of the
week
Premier
are a
League
mixture
season
of
to make it
exciting
2-1
ambitions
and
and give
very real
United a
concerns
glimmer of
about the
hope.
defensive
But 10
situation
men
heading
against
into
the
the
side
summer.
fighting for their
Alessandro
lives in a
Martinez
relegation
red
battle
card
and
subsequent
defending a
3-match
2-goal
ban
lead
has
with
exposed the
25
fact
minutes
that
remaining
United's
was
central
always going to be
defensive
an
options heading into next
extraordinarily
season
difficult
are
task.
genuinely thin.
Leeds
and the
held
club
on.
is already
United
actively
could
addressing
not
that
find
problem
the
in the
equaliser,
transfer market,
and Old
with
Trafford
several
was left
names
stunned
under
by a
active
result that
consideration.
nobody had anticipated.
Gonçalo
And that
Inacio
feels
of Sporting
deeply and
CP is the most
profoundly
intriguing
unjust
defensive
given the
target
specific
of the week,
circumstances
with
surrounding the
AS
decisive
reporting
moment
United's
of the match.
interest in the Portugal
Kobe Mainoo's
international,
absence from the
who is
matchday
currently
squad
preparing
was
to
the
face
other
Arsenal
significant
in the Champions
pre-match
League
surprise, with Carrick
quarter-final
making
second
4
leg.
changes and the
Inacio
United
has a
Academy
release
graduate
clause
not
reported
even
to be
being
in the
named
region
among the
of
substitutes.
£52 million,
Whether that was a precautionary fitness decision or a tactical choice will be scrutinised heavily in the days ahead.
European
And the absence of Mainoo's energy and his ability to progress the ball through midfield was felt in a second half
Chelsea,
where United
Liverpool,
were desperately
Barcelona
trying to
and Real
find a way
Madrid
back into
have
the
all
game
been
while a
credited with
man
interest
down.
in the same player,
The implications
which
of
suggests
Monday's
that any
defeat
United
ripple through the
pursuit will be
entire Premier League
and
top
will require
4 race
moving
in the
quickly
most
to
damaging
establish a
possible way
relationship
for
before
United.
the summer window
They are now
formally
level on
opens.
55
The
points with
fascinating
Aston Villa
subplot of
in
Inacio
4th place
playing against
after Villa
Arsenal
drew
tonight,
against Nottingham
while
simultaneously
simultaneously
being
being
monitored by United's
Liverpool sit in
recruitment team
5th place
adds
on
an
52
extra
points,
dimension to the
just
Champions
3
League
behind
fixture
United,
that supporters
having
of
beaten
both
Fulham
clubs will
and
find
having the
enormous
impossible to
additional
ignore.
boost of seeing
Marcus
United
Rashford
slip up in
represents
the
a
most
dramatic
dramatic of
and most
opportunity. The
unexpected
Bournemouth centre-back
fashion.
being available on a free
Liverpool's remaining
transfer when his
fixtures
contract
include the trip to
expires at
Old
the end
Trafford
of
on
the
the
season
3rd of May.
after an impressive
A fixture
campaign
that
at
now
the
takes on
Vitality
even
Stadium
greater
under
significance
Iraola's
given the
management.
tightness of the race,
The
and Chelsea
Argentina
at home on
international
May
has
the
attracted
9th,
interest
where
from
the two
Atletico
clubs could be
Madrid,
directly battling
Juventus,
for a
Chelsea,
top 4 position
United
in
and
one of the
Tottenham,
most
according to
consequential
reports.
single fixtures
And
of the
TalkSport
entire
claim that the
Premier
defender
League
wants his
campaign.
future resolved
And Martinez
before the
will
end
not
of this
be
season.
available for Chelsea.
Rather than
He will
allowing
not
it
be
to
available
drag
for
into the
Brentford.
summer, he will not be
United
available
are
for
still in the
Liverpool.
market for
3
defensive
consecutive
reinforcement,
matches,
despite
the
Harry
three
Maguire's
matches
new
that will
contract,
almost certainly
and securing
decide United's
Senesi on a free
Champions
would be
League
exactly
fate.
the kind of intelligent
in the
and
financially
financially
efficient
efficient of a
business
defeat at
that
Old
INEOS
Trafford
have demonstrated an
decision that
appetite
every
for across
honest
their
observer
period
of the
of
game
ownership.
can see was
The
applied
addition of a young and
inconsistently
exciting
and
striker target to the
incompletely by
conversation
officials who
is
had the
one of the most
technology to make the
interesting
right
developments
call
of the week,
and used it to
with
make only
Mail
half
Sport
of it.
reporting that United United have been keeping an eye on Bournemouth's 19-year-old forward to the red card and to the broader challenge facing his squad with 5 games remaining will tell us something important about the character of this management and this team, both of because the situation is genuinely difficult now in a way that it was not 48 hours ago. Arsenal the lead over Liverpool has exactly the kind of record that Martinez is missing for the most critical run of games. Maguire is already suspended and available Chelsea and Liverpool are also monitoring a teenager, and the defensive options available to Carrick for the Chelsea and Liverpool fixtures are a shadow of what he had expected to be working with at this stage of the season. United's interest reflects a Manchester United have been in difficult positions pursuing the next generation and found a way through. Talent before they become resilience and determination, and the collective belief that comes from has received a genuinely trusts with reports this week genuinely trusts the man has agreed in principle to join what happened on Monday night should not be minimised. The Turkish international goalkeeper has barely failed to apply the same standard to both players in the same incident is indefensible from a wage budget for investment in a United are entitled to be angry about it. United will not stand in his way according to reports with no official announcement. The only response that matters now is on the pitch. But the progression of the deal described as positive and moving towards a finalised agreement. Casemiro's departure is confirmed and imminent. 3 matches. Bayern is heading to win fixtures. Marcus Rashford's Barcelona situation continues its slow resolution towards a permanent all arrive with the belief that Manchester United's Champions League dream is there to be taken. And Rasmus Højlund are both something extraordinary at this club since January. List is extensive and the funds being generated are 11 wins from 12 games and methodical belief of a fan base that had almost given up is real and it is meaningful and it cannot be undone by one bad night and one outrageous refereeing when next season begins. United were robbed on Monday night. Remains the top priority with Elliot Anderson and Adam Wharton continuing to be the domestic name. This squad has the character to stand back up, dust themselves off, and prove that what was taken from them at Old Trafford by a VAR official and a referee can be reclaimed on the pitch in the weeks ahead. Moreover, the competition from Manchester City and Arsenal for some of these targets means United will need to be decisive and convincing in their approach, using the Champions League platform and the compelling narrative of Carrick's revival as recruitment tools that support every financial argument being made at any negotiating table. The Inacio possibility is perhaps the most immediately actionable of all the transfer stories because of the specific combination of availability, price, and demonstrated quality that he represents. A 23-year-old Portuguese international centre-back with Champions League experience, a negotiable release clause of £52 million, and a track record of performing at the highest level in knockout European football is exactly the kind of signing that addresses United's most pressing defensive need, while also adding genuine long-term value to the squad. Whether United can move quickly enough to beat the other interested clubs to his signature will be a significant early test of the new recruitment setup's ability to execute in competitive circumstances. United face the most critical final weeks of their entire season with a squad that is depleted in key areas, with Martinez suspended and Delight still unavailable, but also with the Champions League dream still entirely achievable and the summer rebuild approaching with the most ambitious and the most comprehensive planning the club has seen in years. Iraola is available, Inacio is attainable, Senesi is free, Krupi is exciting, and Carrick is producing results that make the case for permanent appointment more compelling with every passing week, regardless of Monday's setback. This is not a club in crisis. This is a club in transition, and the difference between those two things has never been more clearly illustrated than in the gap between what United looked like when Carrick arrived in January and what they look like today as the summer approaches, with Champions League football almost within touching distance and a transfer window that promises to be genuinely transformative.